What's up, guys? I'm so excited that you decided to dive into the free body language course. I know it's going to have a huge impact on your business and in your lives, but I just wanted to take a second and share with you a very special offer that I made just for you. And it starts with a question. Why did you start the company that you're currently leading? What was that impact you were hoping to make on the world? And then a second question, and answer this one honestly. How close are you really to achieving that impact? If you're anything like the other entrepreneurs that I work with, I bet you're a bit further away from making that impact than you'd like to be, right? You probably spend your days chasing sales that never close, or pitching investors that never invest, or struggling to lead your team to the potential that you see in them, but that they're not actually achieving yet, right? And doing all that instead of making that impact that you dreamed of making. And I bet that you've tried lots of different things, but found that there's no special sales tactic or guru or investor pitch that solves those problems for you. Right? But I'm here to tell you that there is one thing that you can do to guarantee that you're going to sell more effectively, to raise more money, to lead more effectively. It's not a tactic or the new thing, right? It's something inside of you. It's something that you can work on getting better at that's going to have a huge impact on achieving your entrepreneurial dream. And I'll share with you the story of how I learned this. Right? So I was an only child. My parents weren't great communicators, and I was raised in a really tough neighborhood where I was bullied and taken advantage of on a regular basis. Developed some really big insecurities that I had to deal with over the years. Those just got worse as I moved into my professional career. I moved into a sales role where I really struggled to sell anything because of my anxiety, because of my need to be liked. And I was about to be fired. But one day I had a meeting that gave me an epiphany. Right? So I went to this meeting. It was late in the day. I was told no 100 times that day. I was tired. I was frustrated. And it was with a really important guy. So I was really nervous about this meeting, right? And he walked in the room a few minutes late and said, "How's it going, Greg?" A question I'd been asked 100 times before. And normally I say, "I'm doing great. I'm fine," right? How could I not be perfect today? But instead I paused and I answered honestly. I said, "You know what? I'm pretty nervous about messing this meeting up." He didn't know how to take that. He looked at me. He laughed a little. He said, "You know what? I've been an executive a long time, and I still get really nervous for meetings too. But I'm most nervous when trying to talk to my teenager. I tell you, they just won't open up to me." And that got me talking about my kids, who were much smaller at the time. But it got us talking about family and opening up to each other. And we hardly talked business at all. But I'll tell you what, I won that deal. And that was the epiphany for me, right? Selling and business in general is all about connecting with other human beings, but connecting at a much deeper level, getting below that surface to really getting to know somebody, being vulnerable and opening up yourself, right? So I understood the power of that, but I had no idea how to do it. So I dove deep into the researching things like psychology and coaching and leadership, persuasion, neuroscience, NLP, anything I can get my hands on. And what I learned is that most of it is crap, right? Things like make more eye contact or mirror all their body movements. On top of that, it's really hard to apply, right? I remember talking to my wife and I was paying attention to her body language and her facial expressions and her tonality, but I had no idea what she said because I couldn't do all that at the same time. But over time, through my research, through trial and error, through modeling other great communicators, I was able to pull out those gems that were really impactful in improving my communication and develop tools and exercises that were easy to do and easily repeatable to help me get better over the years. And I'll tell you, that made all the difference for me. I went from not selling anything to blowing away my sales goals, literally selling $1 million relationships while my peers were just selling $100,000 transactions. I was able to help hundreds of entrepreneurs raise over $20 million in funding for their new companies. And I was able to develop a really powerful professional network that has allowed me to develop an amazing podcast called The Art of Communication, a leading business podcast where I've interviewed the likes of Jordan Harbinger, Tommy Swanhouse, Travis Chappell, just to name a few of the 60 or so guests that I've had on the show. Right? So this is really powerful stuff. And, I break down what I learned over the years into 4 key things that I call the SAVE methodology. So think about the ability to save any interaction, any deal, any investment, right? So SAVE is an acronym. S stands for self-awareness, right? We can't really impact, influence, or understand somebody else until we understand ourselves first. A means ask. So be curious, get really curious about that person and who they are and what makes them tick and what's important to them and how you can help them achieve it. V is vulnerability. And vulnerability is really the secret sauce. It's a superpower to connection and influence, right? It's what I used in the story that I told you earlier. I was vulnerable about how I was honestly feeling. And that's what opened up the floodgates. And then E is empathy. You have to understand how others think, what drives them emotionally to respond to them appropriately and influence them in a positive way. So now I'm on a mission to share the SAVE methodology with as many entrepreneurs as I possibly can to help them make their impact on the world. And to do that, I've created the secret connection formula for entrepreneurs, which is a deep dive masterclass into all 4 of those components that I talked about before. Right, and you can see below the details of everything that you get within the program, but I'll tell you it's focused on easy to do exercises and tools that you can repeat over and over and over again so you can get good at those pieces just like I did. And I took out the fluff, right? I'm only focusing on what works here and what worked for me. And there's also a ton of really valuable bonuses and add-ons that are going to help you become a more powerful communicator and influencer. So check those out below. But here's the deal. I'm working feverishly to get this program done. So many folks are asking for it, from folks who've been on my show to folks who hear my show every day to the clients that I work with. But I need your help to make it as good as it possibly can be, right? I'm working hard to get it out in the next 30 days, but I need some beta testers. I need some folks to get involved early who are willing to give me feedback, work through the exercises, and tell me how I can make it even more powerful for them. So I'm hoping that you'll join me. But in exchange for your help, I'm gonna make you a ridiculous offer. You know, the value of this program is in the tens and hundreds of thousands of dollars, right? Think about what it would mean to you to increase your sales by 10 to 20%, or what it would mean to raise that investment that you need to stay afloat, or what it would mean to be a more effective leader of your team, right? So the resources are tremendously valuable. The retail price, once it's done, is gonna be $197. But in exchange for your assistance in building the program, I'm willing to offer it to you for $37. Get in today for an 80% discount on the program. But what I need from you is two things. One, I need you to prove to me that you're an action taker. So I need you to take action within the next 30 minutes, right? And that's important because I can't be wasting my time trying to track down feedback, trying to motivate you to try the modules and tell me what you think. Number two, I need you to be willing to provide me that feedback, to share with me openly and honestly, so that together we can make the program as effective as possible. So I want to circle back to my original question. Why did you start the company that you're leading today? What was that impact that you were hoping to make? And what would improving sales, increasing investment, being a more effective leader, what would that mean to achieving that dream and making that impact? With this program, I'm giving you the keys to unlock those dreams. The only question is, what are those worth to you? So if you're willing to join me on this adventure, just click below and let's get started working together to impact as many entrepreneurs as we possibly can.